To episode 23 of the Marketing That Grows Your Business show. For those of you who have never been on my show before, my name is Kim Garst, and I'm an online business strategist. I love helping others grow their businesses using digital and social media. And if you are new, I'd love you to just drop in #new so we can e-meet, okay? For those of you who are old, I call, been on my shows before. It's not that you're old. It's just I'm saying you've been on one of my shows before. And I know we've got some regulars too. I want to introduce you guys to the newest addition to our family. He is being a little bit contrary this morning. Are you going to look at the camera? There we go. This is unknown yet, name-wise. So if you guys think of a name to match this little beautiful guy, we've had him not even 48 hours yet, and we're trying to get a sense for his little personality. So if you guys have suggestions for names, we're crowdsourcing a name. We've got to figure out what to call him instead of just, hey, you, Mr., come here, right? So definitely drop in names if you can think of one, because we're trying desperately to come up with an awesome name for this little guy. All right. So like I said, if you guys have been with me before, and those of you who haven't, we always have an amazing guest, and today is no different. We're going to be talking about networking today and how you can use it to grow your business. All right, big guy. There you go. We are also on every show, guys, we do giveaways, and today is no different. We're going to be giving away a little, let's see, cover, I guess you could call it. You use it on your laptop for your webcam, and it covers up and it keeps people from spying on you. We also have a ring light for those of you who take selfies or just need a great light source for when you do take photos. And then our special sponsor, which is easel.com. Easel is a graphic design tool, and they have amazing pre-designed templates, guys. So if you haven't checked out Easel, definitely do so. kimgarst.com/easel. And we're going to choose 3 winners today for a 3-month trial of easel.com. So in order to win, this is the only ask I have of you. If you want to win, if you would drop in your aha moments, like #aha, and drop those in to the comments below. And if you know someone, or you feel like there might be people in your community that would get value out of today's live show, or even the replay, then do you mind sprinkling it out into the world? I'm using the word sprinkle. That's my friend Molly Mahoney's word, but pass it along, if you will, so that others can get some value out of today's interview as well. Because I think you're going to get a lot of really clever strategies that you might not have thought of, because I have a special guest today that is really, really good at relationships, networking, and we're going to dig in and pick his brain a little bit. Okay, so let me introduce my special guest today. I first met Mike Kawula, oh gosh, years and years ago now. I don't even remember the year, but it's been a minute or two. And I've seen him evolve his businesses over the years. He has currently got a business called Help a Teen. It's an incredible movement. I can't wait to talk to him a little bit more about that. But he's a teen evangelist and the founder of Help a Teen, where they empower your teen with the top 10 power skills to become a success story. So I don't know about you guys, but most schools don't really teach our children what they need to know when they get out into the world. I mean, I don't think they even teach like balance and checkbooks anymore, right? So Mike is super passionate about this, and it's a wonderful movement. It's also a business model for him. But his last 3 businesses each hit 7 figures in under 36 months with networking ideas and marketing ideas that we're going to talk about today. So welcome. Give a big round of applause to Mike. Hey, Mike, I'm so glad you're here.
It's so exciting. And you were a big part of, you didn't say, I'm here in Tampa right now, and it's because of you. I don't know if you remember that,
right.
but before we moved down here, it was your group that said, move Mike to Tampa. And we were moving to the East Coast of Florida.
Yes, I do remember that now that you mention it. And you were also checking out South Florida, and I
Yep.
think if memory serves me, and
Yeah,
I'm like, yes, Tampa is the place to be. I forgot how long you guys been in Tampa now.
2014.
Okay, so we met before then for sure. I couldn't remember exactly the year that we connected. So I know you came to several of my boom social boom events when we were host having when we had those, and then of course when you moved, and we've had breakfast together, we've had coffee, we've went on
Walked.
uh, walks, dolphin sightings as we call them. I didn't even know that we could just walk along the water down in I guess the downtown area of Tampa, and yeah, the dolphins just come along with us. It's kind of cool. So if you're ever in Tampa, just and you're in the downtown area, there's a boardwalk down there. Just walk along, and more than likely, you're going to see some dolphins. Just saying.
Okay.
Well, I'm super glad you're here, Mike. I'm glad that you. I'm assuming well, I know this to be true. You and your family are good, and all this craziness that's going on right now, right?
Doing amazing.
Yeah, good. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Can you share a little bit about what that's looked like? Because I know a lot of it, but I'd like everybody else to kind of get a picture of what started you down the entrepreneurial road, and then that journey that brought you online.
Sure. So, 20 plus years ago, I worked on Wall Street and came home. It was 9/10/2001. I remember this day specifically because everybody's world changed the next day. But when I came home that day from Wall Street, my wife wanted to go out to dinner. Didn't know why. She wanted to talk. And I learned that night that I was about to have my first child, Mikey, who is now 18 years old. It's incredible. Um, anyway, so I went in that next day and literally before everything happened, resigned. Because I knew after talking with my wife that I had owned businesses before, been entrepreneurial, and just didn't want to be traveling. I wanted to be a father who was very active in their kids' lives. So since then I've started several different businesses. Many have taught me very good lessons, and others have some of them have been good successes. So I've owned a large cleaning company in South Jersey, so I'm very familiar with like local based businesses. And I used both online and offline marketing skills to grow that business. And we had 50 plus employees and cleaned thousands of homes throughout South Jersey. Got that entrepreneurial boredom that some people do. So, as your business grows. So I opened an online business and started selling office supplies and cleaning supplies. And that grew to over 200,000 products that we were selling online. We ended up having 3 warehouses in South Jersey, and majority of it was drop shipped. But also, they say on Wall Street, the bulls, the bears make money, the pigs get slaughtered. So, we wanted to make more money. So we started taking products in house to actually ship out, so we make bigger margins. Learned very fast that I know nothing about inventory management, so we closed that down pretty fast, and that was a big lesson for us. But and then I moved down here to Florida, met you. You invited me my first week to your conference, Social Boom. I believe it was in South Tampa at the time, and introduced me to an individual that had a Twitter tool, didn't know how to market it. It was a tool, a software tool. So I came in and grew that business to 7 figures with him very rapidly, and enjoyed that. And then, the last year and a half have just been deciding my next move. And most recently just started this company called Help a Team. So I've had online businesses, offline businesses, software businesses, kind of jumped into a lot of different things. But my passion has always been kind of with helping our children develop the skills that aren't being taught in school.
Yeah, I love that. So, can you explain a little bit about what Help a Teen is? Because it's such an amazing concept and idea, in my opinion. Because I think lots of times, even as parents, we don't even, sometimes we don't have the skills maybe that we would want our children to have. So, going forward, and expecting the school systems to teach our kids some of these things, it just doesn't happen. So, what does the Help a Teen program look like?
Sure. So it's a 10-week program. It's called Go Be the One. And, because we want our teams to go be the one that runs after their dreams and doesn't let anything stand in their way. So, whether you're doing well academically or not, I believe, and, in speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs out there, teachers and what have you, there are skills that are needed to get ahead in life that just unfortunately aren't taught in school. So one of them we're going to talk about today, which is networking. And, so our program is a 10-week program. It's an experience. And to excite the kids to go through this program and really grab hold of it, what we've done is we have them raise awareness for a nonprofit that's close to their heart. So a social cause, something that they're really passionate about. And for 10 weeks, what they do is they go out and they raise awareness for this cause. And in doing this, they're actually learning week by week by working with a success mentor how to raise awareness for themselves. So, it's super exciting. It's a 10-week program. Again, it's called Go Be the One, and it's over at helpateen.com or gobetheone.com.
I love that. Love that. Such a great mission. When it comes to networking, and I know you've used networking. I've seen you use networking for years. What was the catalyst for understanding the value of networking? Do you have like a story you could share where you're like, oh, wow, that relationship that I created by, networking and really committing to that relationship developed this opportunity for me? Do you have a story that like you can key in on somewhere in your past?
Yeah. So, this is going back 40 plus years ago. I used to drive to Manhattan with my father, who owned a marketing agency. And those were the best car rides in the world. He passed away when I was 20, but, I just learned so much from him. And he was a master networker and used to just talk to me about it all the time. So one of the things I really feel is important before jumping into networking is what's called impression management. And especially if you're an online marketer, if you're doing anything online, I'm sure right now there are people having conversations in the Facebook feed, right? And what a lot of folks are going to do is they're going to click on whoever, says something useful that maybe they don't know, right? And you click on it and you go and you look at their profile. So right away, when looking at that profile, you're going to have an impression of who that individual is. So to me, I think that's really, really important in today's world is, what kind of impression is somebody going to have of me after looking at my profile within 30 seconds. So, it's kind of funny. One of the things I do with teenagers is I tell them to have somebody that doesn't know them look at their profile for, 2 minutes, whether it's an Instagram feed, TikTok, or whatever, and then to write down like 5 things that you think that individual cares about, like that teen, based on the posts that they're making. And that goes for us adults also, because if, networking is, how we create success in life. Social media is amazing, obviously, but it's our network, right? Those partnerships that we can create with one another. So it's that impression. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. And one of the things I really want to key in on that you said is first impressions when it comes to meeting people for the first time. Networking is more, in my opinion, I'd love your take on it, than just saying, hey, I met somebody. It'd be like walking into Walmart and running up to the first person you see and saying, oh, my name is blah, 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 and I've got a sell on my website, go check it out. That's not networking. Networking is meeting someone and connecting. And in fact, what is your definition? Let me ask you that. What is your definition of networking before I put words in your mouth?
Yeah, no, and you bring up a great point there. It's a lot of times, like folks look at influencers online and they think that that's, they're going to go and they want them to like follow them and retweet them or repost, a post of theirs. And so they'll spend a lot of time, quote unquote, networking, trying to, form a relationship with somebody when that individual doesn't have the audience that their audience would be interested in. So if you sell a product or service, who you kind of put yourself in proximity to has to be related somehow to your business, right? And so I was just helping out somebody that recommended an e-commerce company here locally who was having some problems. And so, they're like, hey, Mike, do you mind helping out for like an hour and speaking to this individual? And so she had said she tried influencer marketing and that influencer marketing. It's an e-commerce store that sells to women ages 40 to 60 years old, like this really beautiful, like bamboo, like slippers and bathrobes and what have you. And she was like, I've done influencer marketing and it doesn't work. I was like, all right, well, show me two of the last influencers that, you paid money to. And she paid a lot of money, like over $10,000 per influencer. And when I looked at these influencers, though they had very large followings and amazing engagement, when you actually went and looked at those individuals who were, commenting on all her posts, so you don't need any fancy tool to do this. You can just go and look. They were individuals who were like into like, I would say 15 to 25 year range. Like, so Gen Z to, millennial maybe, but that wasn't her target audience. So when she said, like, it didn't work, it was because she was associating, she walked into like in a room to network in a sense, but it was a completely wrong room that she should have been in.
Good point. And going back to that first impression, Rebecca is saying, aha, defining networking, being relational, relating. It has to be that way. So, and it has to be, to your point, targeted. And I always say that it needs to lead with service. Like, when you are trying to network, the point of networking is not to be that person. Like you don't want them to dread seeing you, right? Because you're always
Did you
asking.
ever see the wedding crashers? Like, you know how they
Yes,
just walked
yes,
in and like they were just part of the crowd. Like, that's what you want to
yes.
be.
Yes, and going back to you're talking about the social platforms or social presences, because first impressions do matter. It's just like when we meet people in person. When somebody goes to our profile, and you may not think of it this way, but I'd like to challenge your thoughts, challenge the way you're thinking about this, because what Mike just said about making sure when somebody connects. In fact, I challenge you guys right now, those of you who are live with us, or even if you're watching on the replay, pick somebody out that said something, Rebecca, for example, we just pulled up one of her comments, but pick somebody out and just go check out their profile. Are they somebody you would want to connect with? And if they, again, spend 2 or 3 minutes taking a peek, then what would you do? What would you suggest they do next, Mike? If that person is somebody they want to connect with, what would you suggest next?
So follow them, first of all, on multiple different platforms. And so obviously, I'm a huge fan of Twitter. So on Twitter, I use Twitter lists pretty actively. In fact, like, that's the only thing that I use. So I have a pre-relationship Twitter list. So, and I have this for those, so I believe when networking, I want to network with bloggers who have my audience, people in the media who have my audience, right? Authors maybe who might read their books. So before I actually reach out to that person to form a relationship, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, a month out, if I know I'm going to want to reach out to them, I put them in like a pre-Twitter list. It's like a warm-up list where every day I go on to that list and I'll favorite their tweets. I'll reply to their tweets. I'll retweet them if, it's appropriate. But I start building that relationship with them. So is that now when I do want to, reach out to them, and to answer your question there, when I do reach out, it's not just reaching out to ask for something. It's reaching out to them to maybe jump on a Zoom call or an actual phone call. And, just starting that communication to get to know them better, see if I can serve them in any way. And a lot of times that's what I do. Like, so I've been interviewing a lot of child psychologists and adolescent psychologists. And some of them are like, have amazing work, amazing books that they've written, but their marketing is way off. Like, so, one of them recently who I wanted to reach out to, I had just, had said, hey, here's some things that you should be doing on your website that I notice are kind of off. And I didn't know if you knew, but, they had like an email list and it was broken. And so, I let them know where it was broken, what they could do to fix it. And, they were so grateful of that. And then I said, hey, I'd love the opportunity to jump on a quick call and get to know, your business a little bit more. It looks like we both serve the same type of audience. So had a Zoom with them, ended up interviewing them, and now I've formed a great relationship with them because of it.
Yeah, it's so funny you said that because I remember, Syed Balki, right? My friend
Yep,
Syed,
he's awesome.
young man. He is an amazing young man, incredible business acumen. I mean, I don't think he's even 30 yet, and he's got multiple seven-figure businesses. He's the founder of WP Beginner, in case you guys don't know him. But what I want to share with you is a story that he shared with me one time around something that you just said. He reached out when he was first starting his online business to Michael Hyatt. Most of you may know Michael Hyatt. Michael Hyatt's a big name in the space, and he did exactly what you just said. He's like, he found something that was broke, and he reached out and said, I can fix this for you if you give me an opportunity. And that was his first big break, into this space. And now, he's again totally, stands in his own right. He is a big wig himself these days. So it's incredible how you can open the door to those relationships. You just have to think outside of the box and be intentional, I think, with it. Um,
Very.
so when it comes to like a lot of people, I think, have traditionally thought of networking as offline, but there's so many ways that I think that social has shifted that dynamic. You mentioned Twitter, and I know you and I both. I love Twitter. I'm a little frustrated with Twitter's management right now because I feel like they're killing it. But um, what other social platforms do you feel do they all have opportunities for us to network on them? What are your favorites?
Yeah, so Twitter is going to be by far, and yes, there's a lot that I wish they would do differently. Like, for instance, roll out stories. It's in Latin America right now, so I don't know why it's not here in the U.S. But it is highly effective. DMing people and messaging people. Like if you were to go to my Twitter feed, you might see I tweet maybe 2 times a day. But look at my outreach to people. I'm tweeting probably 30, 40, 50 times a day at mentioning somebody. So you won't see that on my Twitter feed. You only see it in, like my outreach that anybody could see. So right now I'm reaching out to a lot of media because again, I'm not known in this space yet, but give me 18 months and everybody will know me as a teen evangelist for teens using technology to succeed in the future. And I love Instagram. Instagram also is very, very active for the DM. So, but again, it's you can't just send a message to somebody and ask for something. LinkedIn also, like I use LinkedIn a lot. But it's just like the minute you connect with somebody and they message you and try selling you, or you get like this huge like text. Messaging today, I think, and I'm sorry to back up here, messaging is something we all need to work on because a lot of folks are reading, whatever message you send them on this device, right? And so when they look at a message, if they're looking at a mobile device and you send them like we learned in school 5 sentences, to a paragraph and then return, like people don't have time for that. So, you want to just start with something. Hey, loved that last post. Would love to just jump on a Zoom and, get to know you more. Like just something like really brief. And even that like might be a little bit creepy saying, because there's no relationship there yet. But just start a dialogue with somebody, but keeping it very brief. So Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, all down in the messages. Facebook, one thing I think everybody should do with Facebook, since, most people are on Facebook right now watching this, is if you're see somebody that you want to network with and you're following their business page, make that show up first in your feed. So is that now like whenever I do go on Facebook, it's all again like those in the media that I want to connect with and like authors and what have you. So they're showing up first, and I'm always commenting on their posts and starting like a lot of engagement. And so I'm leaving a very thoughtful comment that's well thought out that their audience now starts to like. So then they're going to see it, because what happens every time somebody in their audience likes my comment, they're going to see like, oh, like, and so eventually they're going to reach back out to me because, they're like, oh, who's this Mike guy? And I'm doing it with a couple of influencers right now who I know have the audience that I want to be in front of them. One of them is, I'll just share, is Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey's audience is my audience 100%. Faith-based, a lot of parents. So it's just, all of his, the Dave Ramsey family, I'm connecting with right now, commenting always on their stuff, sharing their stuff, and just, seeing ways that I could serve them. And I know that that's eventually going to come back because it's happened that way in every business I've ever done.
I love that. Such a great answer. One thing that I'm just curious about, yeah, Sarita saying, aha, start a dialogue, but keep it brief. Yeah. And I would just add to that because I get a lot of outreach daily. I mean, I probably get 50 to 100 people reaching out. And we respond maybe to one or two. Like, seriously, when I say I get outreach, and people are like, hey, I see you have this blog about blah, 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 blah. And my tool would be better than the tool that you are listing on your blog. So can you just replace it? So they're just all about them. They didn't even open the door to letting me try their tool before
Yep.
they wanted me to insert it into my blog, right? As a recommendation. So you can't make it about you. You absolutely can't make it about you. You have to start a conversation and open the door first. And Rebecca says, aha, relating online with thoughtful comments. Yes, always. I mean, lead with service and or servant-based heart. And I know I've seen Mike do this for years, and things that there is a sense of reciprocity at a certain point, I think too. And it just goes back to that relationship and being willing to do the work.
And
When it comes,
if I could
go
just
ahead, Mike.
add, use a social listening tool of some sort. So I use Brand 24, but whatever tool you want to use, listen and set up in that tool for that influencer that you want to connect with. So is that when they're interviewed somewhere, because you might be following that influencer that you want to connect with, and so you're looking at their feed. But a quicker way to follow somebody, and I use the word a lot, the law of proximity and putting yourself around, and I'll share a quick story. This is going back to my Wall Street days, like long ago. I had just gotten my Series 7, and there was an IPO coming out, and I wanted to get a lot of shares, but being a new broker, they're not going to give you a lot of shares. Anyway, it was right around Christmas, and there was a holiday party, and the founder of the firm came in, and he was an older gentleman, and he had his wife with him. And this was a very male-dominated, company that I worked in. So out of the 200, there were maybe, 5 females there. Well, his wife was sitting by herself all night long. And so I went over to that table and sat down and spoke to her and struck up a conversation for 30 minutes. I bring this up because law of proximity. That Monday, when I went back into the office, the founder of the firm called me up to his, upstairs, because we were down in like this pit, and started a conversation with me and ended up giving me like a huge amount of shares to go. And it was because of my relationship with, that I developed just in a small amount of time talking to his wife, right? And so a lot of times it's the gatekeeper that we want to strike up that relationship with and really just, build a connection with. And if we can socially listen to that influencer that you want to connect with, and listen anytime they're on a podcast, anytime they are written up in some type of publication, if you're commenting on it and building a relationship with whoever interviewed them or whoever did that article about that person, they have a relationship with that person. So that person is now going to, be grateful that you shared the article, and they're going to tag that person now, that influencer that you're trying to connect with. And now you're seen as somebody that's kind of like in that party. Like, again, back to the wedding crasher, right? Like, you're coming in, like you're already there when you were just socially listening.
Well, that leads to actually a really big question. And I bet some are wondering, how do you figure out how to find those people in social? Like, how do you figure out how to find people who have your community, that serve your types, your person, your customer, and start to build relationships with that person? What does that look like? Is there a tool? How do you do it?
Yeah, so it's a great question. And it's actually that e-commerce company that I was telling you about. I just recently did it for a software company. This is something that could take you a week at minimum to do, but you really should pause whatever you're doing, because it's if networking, to me, it doesn't matter whether you're new in business or crushing it in business. This by far can blow up your business and really lift it. You have to spend the time to look at who are the podcasters again. And so podcasters, authors, those in the media that are big, that write about whatever the service or the product is that you sell, that you offer. You want to go out to if there's manufacturers reps that rep the product. You want to look at also the customer journey. So where is your customer before they get your product or service, and where are they going after they get your product or service? So a good example of that is if like when you buy diapers, they say 9 months to 12 months or whatever. So before 9 months, where is that mother going that's buying that product or service? So spend some time looking at that. And then when you find these people, what you want to do is go and really look at who their audience is. And so click on their followers and start looking through and saying, is that a person that would buy or sell my product? Now, there's tools that do this out there, and a lot of them are extremely expensive, but you can do this for free. Again, just doing this during the week, doing this at night, doing this on the weekend. But it's so important to make sure, because I see so many people trying to connect with people or have like huge audiences, but it has nothing to do with their product or service. So they're just kind of like they'll say networking doesn't work, but it's because they're networking with the wrong people.
Good point. And so if you were to say, you mentioned you can do this with a tool. So what tool would you recommend that's, and you mentioned Brand 24. Is that something you could use for?
You can't. No, BuzzSumo.
Yeah. Oh, good. I'm glad you said BuzzSumo, because I love BuzzSumo. It is a little
They're
pricey.
awesome, expensive.
Yeah. But there is some value in the free version. I mean, at least at a baseline level, to get you started, because they do have an influencer, what is it? Tab influencer.
Yep.
Platform or influencer. There's I don't know what the word I'm searching for. It's not coming to me, but there is a part of their tool that allows you to search for influencers within a certain space. And if you don't know who those people are, but online, there's other ways to do it too. Maybe check out Facebook groups. There's it's all about really just paying attention to where the conversations are happening around your product or service. And it does take a little bit of time, but if you do it, like Mike said, it's so worthwhile to really finding people that are serving your person, and then starting to build those relationships out, so you have an opportunity to step into those communities. So Mike, when you get into Dave Ramsey's community, like you get an opportunity to go speak at his event, or you get interviewed on his podcast, that's just around the corner, and I can't wait to hear about it, right? Because you're working it. I know you are.
Everybody inside of his group, but it's also, it's doing it authentically. Like, you really have to, care about it. And so I love his audience. But one of the things that I would recommend, also a free tool that everybody could use, is Feedly. And so when you find an influencer who has a blog, Feedly is like an RSS feed. So every morning, like when I'm, like reading the news for the day, I've created like my own magazine that I like of all the blogs. And I have a section there of my, target dream 100, you could call it. So, years ago, I had the opportunity of getting, interviewed by Chet Holmes and Tony Robbins. It was 2012. And, my business had just had a great year. And I thought it was going to be like an amazing interview. And it was very humbling, because they tore apart my business, which was amazing. But Chet Holmes, who has since passed away, he wrote a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. I recommend it for everybody. He recommends, and I know Russell Brunson talks about this a lot also, a Dream 100, right? And so creating that Dream 100 takes some time. But what everybody should do, definitely this week, is say, who are 10 editors that write about the industry that I'm in? Who are 10 bloggers? Who are 10 Twitter accounts? If you're on Twitter, 10 Instagram accounts, 10 LinkedIn accounts, 10 podcasters, right? And now, of that Dream 100, every day, what you should do is have them in some type of feed so you're engaging with all of their content. But then spend some time to say, every day I'm going to reach out and send that person an email. And I know we were talking about before, Kim, like you get a lot of emails and all, but if you authentically just reach out to somebody with a thoughtful comment, and don't like try to prop them up, right? Like, because they don't want that. Like, just, you know, like I sent Gary Vaynerchuk, for instance, a message 2 months ago, and he responded because it was just an honest, thought out feedback for him versus just trying to like feed his ego, which no influencer really wants that, right? They just want to really authentically engage with people who are similar to them. So be authentic about it, but spend the time to go after like 10, 10, 10, and 10 and create that Dream 100, Dream 200. And if you just every day make it a focus of going in and focusing on 5 of them, focusing on 10 of them, however much time you have, that will reap such amazing rewards for your business.
I love that. Such great advice. And it's very succinct too. Yes, Agorapulse. I agree, Jeff. Agorapulse is also a great social listening tool. You can use it for
Love
that.
them.
I do. And one of the things we've talked about Twitter, and I know a lot of people are like up in the air about Twitter right now, maybe they've given up on it or whatever, but it still drives so much traffic for me, and I still have great conversations there, and outreach there is still alive and well. So if you want to reach out to an influencer, that would be one of the very first places I would suggest, because a lot of influencers are still very active on Twitter. A lot of media companies are absolutely on Twitter. I feel like Twitter should become a media outlet instead of what it is, whatever it is. I don't even know. Yes, Rita, don't prop people up. Be honest. Honest. So,
So
go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
you mentioned Twitter. So like one of the things, my favorite tool that I use 3 times a day is Haro. Help a reporter out. And so I'm a huge fan of it. If you're not using it for your business, you definitely have to, because getting mentioned in the media can drive you a massive amount of traffic. And sometimes a lot of folks will have doubt about using it because there's a lot of people on Haro. So 3 times a day, it's reporters going and asking questions of like they want to source information for an article they're working on. So I've been in Forbes, CNN, Inc. magazine, all because of Haro. But again, back to this whole networking thing. A lot of times when I see a reporter ask a question on Haro, what I'll do is, if I answer it, I'll then go to Twitter and connect with that reporter and @message them and let them know. And I can tell you, like, very few ever do this. And in fact, do you know Greg Hickman, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
From so Greg Hickman's a great guy. And years ago, he had a company called Mobile Marketing. And this was when mobile was becoming really, really big. And so there was this PR specialist that I wanted to be covered by. Her name was Cheryl Snap O'Connor, and she wrote for Forbes. And so I couldn't answer the question that she was asking on Haro, and she uses Help a Reporter Out all the time. So when she asked that question, what I did is I went to Twitter and mentioned her and said, listen, that was a great question. I know this individual, and I tagged Greg, who's the leader in mobile marketing and can definitely help answer your question. I'll let you both take it from here. Greg got covered. She was very grateful. I saw her ask another question. So when she asked another question like 2 weeks later, and I answered it, I again went to Twitter. She ended up responding back and saying, that's not the answer that I was looking for, but I love the way that you're using Haro. Can I write an article about you? So, if you were to Google Michael Kawula Forbes Haro, you'll see an article that she wrote about me in the way that I use it for outreach. And so, that's my whole point about networking is like, you got to be creative because everybody's doing it out there. And, we'll come into like right now, this is, hopefully, providing value to everybody. And you're in the comments right now having comments. But if you want to take it one step further, what I would challenge everybody to do is whoever you're enjoying right now, having a conversation with right now, after this, because there's always the before party of networking. There's the networking that you're doing right now inside the feed. but it's what you do afterwards. So whether it's immediately after this or tomorrow, reach out to somebody that you're enjoying having a conversation with right now in the comments, and try to connect with them on a quick 10-minute Zoom, because that's where it is. And you might not be related to those business, but the law of proximity is we are all close to somebody that can help one another, and that's what networking is all about.
Well, that was one of the next things I was going to talk about. So Patty says, so many choices. How do you choose which one of these platforms to use? So what do you think, Mike? How do you choose which platform to really focus in on? Love your take on that.
Yeah, so a couple of things. One, definitely look where your audience is, right? And so you just don't have to choose the hottest platform. So look at where your audience is and focus your time on there. And don't let these algorithms and these data scientists, like when you go to Facebook, they'll keep you on there for a very long time. So be on as many platforms as you can, but be very cognizant of your time on those platforms. So, you've got to be like that ninja, come right in and focus and then get off, right? It's a habit to click on notifications, and then, maybe somebody commented back on a comment that you made and now you're jumping in there. Don't do that. Set aside time to enjoy social media for the fun that it is. But when you're using it for business, and whatever your working hours are, if you're like, I'm going to go use X platform, then go use X platform, but get off it once you've done what you're on that platform to do, and move on. Again, if you know who your Dream 100 is, that's who you should really be focusing in on. And then, the noise and everything else that goes on, come and enjoy it in your off hours. But when you're focusing for work, you got to be on target.
And that I would like to just add to that, you can do amazing things with one platform. You don't need to be like to Mike's point. You want to go where your people are, for sure. But being intentional with your time. If you are not currently doing this, my suggestion would be that you, like Mike said before, like, come up with your 100, top 100, make 10 piles of 10. We'll call it piles of 10. That sounds terrible, but that's true. Put people in piles. It's okay. Nobody's going to know but us. We're going to keep that in between us. But being intentional with outreach each and every day, instead of getting on Facebook and, seeing you're spending, 30 minutes looking at everybody's parties and, 4th of July stuff. And before you know it, you've spent, I call it crack book, because you've spent so much time being unintentional with your time. And then you're like, okay, well, I've got to go make dinner, or, I've got to go, get busy doing this. And you've done nothing yet that has really driven your business. So to Mike's point, when you get on your platform of choice, wherever you want to start this networking venture, be intentional with outreach to your people, like the people that you do that first. Doesn't mean you can't circle back and watch, look at the, other stuff, but be intentional with your time, because this networking stuff will absolutely pay off for you if you put the time and energy into it. So Mike, one thing I wanted to talk to you about a little bit, you've mentioned it several times, and it's been, we've talked a lot about starting to build the relationships through social media, and networking through social media. But you've made a point a couple of times to share that people should do a face-to-face. So can you talk about the value of bringing those relationships into real life?
It is huge. I mean, it's so back to when you invited me to that conference in 2013 or 14. It was one of the social ones down in South Tampa. Nathan Latka, who I believe you've had on, who's incredible, right? A really smart entrepreneur who I respect. I saw him speak there. I saw Emmerich. Emmerich gave one of the best speeches that I'd ever heard. Emmerich is the founder of Ergo Pulse, and it's an incredible tool, right? And so how many times have we heard somebody speak at a conference, and then, we shake their hand or whatever and do a photo with them, and everybody's doing that. But then it's, that Monday that we're all back in the office or at home, whatever, reaching out to that person and then trying to get on this, right? Like a Zoom or a phone call, or go and have coffee. Like you and I, Kim, like walking and looking at the dolphins, right? Like I walk every morning at 4:30, and I anybody that wants to join me that's in Tampa is welcome to come and join me. And I walk for 3 hours every day. Um, and it's really building that connection. There's so many people that have joined me, for those walks, and there's something about it. It's just, it might not be about each other's business, but again, we all know somebody who knows somebody, right? And so when you have that physical connection and even if it's just Zoom today, since we're all, unable to really meet in person, the payoff is incredible. And it feels yucky to say the word payoff and all because it's networking, but it's for business. But you develop incredible friendships, and I obviously adore you, Kim, and I'm getting to know you over the last several years. But it's it was all through the beginning. Like when I came down here and was thinking of moving to Tampa, you and I met, and I don't know if you remember this. Before we even moved here, my two daughters were with me. We were, my wife sent me down. I was having one of my midlife crises and said, go find us where you want to live, right? You met me at Panera Bread, I think it was, and bought my little daughters a cookie. I remember that, right? And it was just that, we only spent 10 minutes together that time, but it meant the world to me. And since we've built a great relationship, so you have to take it offline. You just have to. And again, back to these comments right now. Whoever you're seeing in these comments, just make it a habit every day to pick up the phone and have a phone call with everybody, because when people are on social media, they forget there's not that connection in the heart. But when you take it off of social media onto a phone or a Zoom, it will do wonders.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we hide behind our computer screens and our keyboards. It's too easy, Oh, I just want to, but the real value and it comes into the face-to-face conversations, and it doesn't necessarily. I mean, some of my best. Well, let me back up for a second. I made this image one time for my social that said, I love social media because all my friends are there. And there's a lot to be said for that. Like, I love my neighbors too. I have a great set of neighbors right beside of us, and across the street, we have great neighbors, but they have no clue what I do for a living. It's like, what do you do again? And, they're what I would call in the real world, job world, And so I've met some of my best friends and have the best and strongest relationships, in some cases with people I've never met face to face. But yet we've spoke, numerous times. We speak sometimes every week, and when you can say that, because it happens, it's an incredibly powerful thing. There's people literally that I've never met in person, but I do anything in the world to help them, so it's just an interesting dynamic. So make the time to speak in real life with people. It's huge. I have to.
Ian, we both know Ian Cleary. And, he's all way over in Ireland, and he and I every 6 months will jump on a Zoom and just catch up. Rebecca Radiz, who's West Coast, 6 months. Every 6 months we try to jump. There's this guy John McGee. Every Thursday I speak with him, and he's over in London. And we just, we quickly jump on and we, coach each other. He's an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming coach. And so he works with me on certain things and I work with him on his business. And we both, find value in that. And that's networking. Again, he'll never be my customer and, I'll never be his customer. But, we both have strengths that each other could use. And together we both grow from that.
Yeah, I love that. So Jeff is saying having my wife to be able to spend the weekend with Kim and Rhonda was a game changer. Meeting in real life is huge. We had such a great time. So Jeff was in my mastermind, and he brought his wife. It was her birthday, and at first he was like, "No, I'm not gonna come." And I'm like, "Bring her. She'll, she can go hang out at the beach, and we'll have the best time." And we did. We all loved meeting Jody, and I think there's just something about that in person opportunity that when you get a sense for people, you even over Zoom, even over a phone call, because there's the nuances of the voice that you just don't pick up when by somebody. Hey, Chuck. Now there's another great example. I met Chuck I think for the first time at Social Media Marketing World. Met a lot of amazing people at Social Media Marketing World.
Wait, who is that? Chuck who?
Chuck Moran.
I didn't. Oh, I love Chuck. Bold Guy Studio. He is
Yes.
phenomenal. And again, he and I have had conversations, and he actually wrote a blog post. He's an amazing writer uh,
Yeah.
for my previous business from a relationship met online, but we took it offline.
Now, boy, now that's
Yes.
a serious in the moment. We didn't plan that at all.
No.
We really didn't. So, as we're picking the winners, I do have a question as it relates to if someone. I mean, I know you laid out the 10 by 10 essentially coming up with your top 10 people. But if somebody is just getting, or top 100 people, not top 10 people,
No.
but if somebody is not really in the networking mentality yet when it comes to social, even if it's social, using social media, or even if it's offline networking, because we didn't even really talk about offline networking, but there's a huge opportunity, I think, even with like networking groups and stuff that meet locally wherever you are. But if somebody hasn't really started with their networking journey yet, but they're intrigued, they've listened to what we've talked about today, where would you suggest they start? Would you have them start with making that list, or is there something else you feel like would be more powerful for them?
Number two would be creating that list. Number one is if you have even just one customer, that customer is the person number one that you should be networking with by far. I mean, your existing base of customers, even just one, getting to know them really well. Again, what books do they read? What magazines do they read? What blogs do they follow? And doing that with each of your customers. Social quant, if I went back to 2008, my office supply store, I did customer service, even if it was a box of paper clips. I would call the customer when they were delivered just to get to know them and about their business, because you'll start hearing something repetitive about them. Again, when it's a magazine, all right, well, who are the editors in that magazine? And editors are always looking for information, right? So there's not a person here right now. If you have one customer, that customer should be gold to you. Now, if you don't have any customers, what you should be doing then is, you should have your customer profile, hopefully written out already, and know who that ideal customer is. And now you want to start, I guess I hate the word assumptions, but making assumptions. What podcasts do they listen to on a regular basis? Find 10 of those podcasters and now start listening to those podcasters. Leave each one of those podcasters a review. You have to do that. Share their podcast, comment on their podcast, comment and tag the guests that they're having on those podcasts. And look at my feed right now. You will see me doing this with people, and there's a reason behind everything that I'm doing. And what will happen is, as you're tagging those guests, that podcaster is naturally going to respond back. And subconsciously, what that does in the back of the brain is it's forming a connection with you without them even knowing it. And then you continually do that. You continually do that. And I don't always, just so you know, even write something out on Twitter. I'll actually record a video in just 30 seconds. So if you look through my Twitter feed, you'll see a lot of videos being sent out to people. So I would say podcasters, do the same with bloggers, do the same with, authors. And so as you start to do that, now you're busy for like an hour to 2 hours every day. And that will have one of the greatest impacts on your business by far.
Totally agree. And I would even suggest that when you are responding and connecting to people over on Instagram, instead of responding with text, send that voice or video response, because that's a personal touch point that is, it's not you don't lose the nuances of just the straight up text, right? They can hear your voice, and there's energy in our voices, and there's
Definitely.
energy in our facial expressions. And, I think the video versus the video and the audio versus a straight up text response will blow everybody away, because most people don't do it. And to Mike's point, after a while, your influencers are going to see your name over and over again, and it starts to cement that connection with them. So spend the time, do the work. It works, guys. So we
So
have
I
Carol.
just,
Go ahead.
yeah, what you're
Go ahead.
announcing there. Gary Vaynerchuk had a millennial, how to market to millennials 2 weeks ago. So I did a video review immediately after it was done. And what happened was Gary retweeted it, and there were a ton of replies in there. I went and started engaging with each of those people. One of them was a previous dean of admissions from the University of Chicago. She now has recorded for me words of wisdom to help a teen. So a 3-minute, video offering them advice on what college admissions officers are looking for. That all happened because of, again, just having conversations with people and not even knowing where it was going to go, but knowing that I was in the right area. These were my target audience. So I was in the right party. Now, once you're in the right party, it's just starting to dance with them and starting that conversation.
Yeah. So slow dance until you get to the boogie, right? So,
Love that.
it's a great way of putting it, I suppose. So webcam winner is Carol and Rose. Uh, so go. This is what it looks like. It's this cute little thing. Go up to the comments. I'm sorry, to the message if you're here on Facebook, and send us your mailing address. And then we have Rebecca. Hey, Rebecca, I'm so glad. Hey, Mike, you probably remember Rebecca, don't you? She was in the inner circle. We were all together for
Oh my
a
gosh,
long
yes.
time. Yes, so another relationship that goes back a minute. But
Oh
Rebecca,
my.
you won the ring light. So again, if you'll send us some, here it is, upside, right side up, and we'll get it out in the mail to you ASAP. So a mailing address for those, and then our easel winners, Alita Lard. I hope I said that correctly, Alita. If I butchered it, please forgive me. Rita Young, Christy Virus. Hopefully, I said that one right too. And guys, all we need from you, same set of instructions. If you'll just go up to send a message, but we don't need a mailing address. All we need is an email from you. So if you'll send that over to us, we'll get you guys set up with your free 3-month trial of easel.com. You're going to love it. They have amazing pre-designed templates. And literally, if you're struggling with something to post on social media, you can log in and say, "Ooh, I need an Instagram post." And they have all these amazing, great, already pre-designed content, great ideas. Download it and pop it onto your social. It's that easy. So you're going to love easel.com. Any last minute questions for Mike? And then Mike, while we're waiting on any questions that might come up, where can everybody connect with you?
Twitter, or just email me. First name, last name at Gmail is my email. And, Mike Kawula on Twitter. If there's any questions, I know we covered a lot today. If you're having difficulties in trying to create even like a dream 10, just tweet me your business and what it is you do. And, I will get back to you within 48 hours. But it is honestly by far the best way to grow a business. So many of us get focused, working in our business, and we're on social media. So the Eisenhower Matrix, I wrote an article on it, but my favorite article is by James Clear. James Clear wrote an amazing book, Atomic Habits. But James Clear wrote, it's called the Eisenhower Matrix. And if you look at it, a lot of us, what happens is we get stuck and we're working. Like we'll sign into our computer and start work at 8 o'clock in the morning, and maybe we sign out at 8 at night, and we're like, whew, I grinded all day. But sometimes we're grinding on the wrong things because, there's distractions coming at us all the day. And so social media is highly effective. It can grow any one of your businesses, guaranteed. But you have to make sure you're at the right party and that you're connecting with the right people. And if you do that, you will have massive success if your product or service, obviously, is what the customer wants. But if you need help with that, just message me and just be like this. And when I have time, I'll look at it and I'll give you like 5-10 different suggestions of, who you might want to network with.
That is an invaluable offer, and I hope you guys take him up on it. And one of the things that I know that Mike does too, and I'm not offering up his time, but I tell you, if you build a relationship with this gentleman, it's so Craig. It is. Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you spell it out. I think of it as the koala bear, but it's not exactly the same spelling. So
I know
share
they're
how.
going extinct. Kawula, Kawula, and it's Mike, my son. I did the worst thing. I named my son also. He's 18 now, and he's creating Kim. I'm so proud of him. He's doing so well online. He really is, and
And
he's
so
outreaching
let's
every
talk
night.
Yeah. So I know one of the things I love about Mike is he is raising entrepreneurs. And we could talk about this a lot more, but I just want to touch real quick on what I think I know about what your children are doing. I know Mandy has a pet business, right? Still, like, is
Correct.
that true
Yeah.
or is she? Okay. And how old
Correct.
is
She
Mandy
pet
now?
exercising. She just
Okay.
turned 16.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Well, but she's had a business now for several years. At
Yeah.
least I
And
know that
so
I can, yeah.
back in the
And
day, I
then you,
used to consult at eBay Ventures. And so I would, work with their startups that they invested in, and she would come with me. And this was when she was 9 years old, so she's been in there. My youngest is Katie. She's 13. Oh my God, wait, 14. So you forget their ages. She's 14. She's going to be a freshman in high school. She wants to be a coach for cheerleading. And this is one of the seasons she's going through. So this summer, she's reading books and listening to podcasts for an hour a day. The agreement is I will not bother her. What she does on her phone, what she does in her life, invest in her life an hour a day. And then you could do with it the rest of what you want this summer. So she's reaching out to like coaches and what have you, that motivational speakers and what have you. So learning from them, which is great. Ed Millett, who's a great guy, was kind enough to respond. Then we spoke about Mandy. Mikey, my son, is 18, and he's a huge Walking Dead fan, but he's practicing, just so everybody knows, exactly. If you look at his at Twitter, what he's doing, he is messaging people. He does video editing. And so what he's offering is a 30-second to 60-second max for free, basically a highlight reel. So if you're doing a webinar and you want like a video to promote the webinar, he'll do that. If it's for your YouTube channel, and so he's got clients. Twitch, I guess, is a big thing for him. So what he does is he takes people's Twitch streams and shortens them down so they can put it up on YouTube. And he's not crushing it, but he's making a couple $100 a month. And he's not even a senior yet. And
enough. I need to have that conversation with him.
So, I agree with you.
Well, we'll have another we have a lot in common. I'm a big Walking Dead fan too. So most people really don't know that. So yes. My husband says I'm just too violent. Sometimes I'm like, some people in these shows, they just need to die. I hate to say it so bluntly. Some of these bad people, I'm just like, and you're like, oh, finally somebody did that person in, because some people just are just. So maybe that's a whole other side.
Perseverance. That's what it is. He has been doing this since 9 years old. He's had a YouTube channel, and he was all over this. It never took off until I said, why don't you hone in on what you love? And once he honed in on The Walking Dead, he's getting 1,000+ views, per video, lots of comments. And what I love that he's taught me is to be humble when he gets those nasty comments, because he speaks fast like me. And so people are like brutal sometimes online, right? But he's just so humble. He's like, thanks for the feedback. I appreciate you. And it's just amazing. So I love what my kids are doing, and I love working with teenagers. It's just, it's a lot of fun.
So if you guys have teens, definitely check out Mike's new venture. And he walks his talk, guys, which is, he's my kind of guy. Anybody that does that is my kind of person. So thank you, Mike, for sharing your wisdom and your genius with everybody today. And I haven't forgotten. I will definitely get you a video shot. So just so you know.
I appreciate you.
But thank you guys that are live with us today. Anybody that's watching on the replay, always appreciate the time you spend with us. If you want to connect with Mike, definitely do so on Twitter. Again, Mike Kawula. You can find him over on Twitter. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Take care of yourselves and stay safe.